is a talk that could be given any day, 52 weeks a year in any Science of Mind community, because it is the applicable, isn't that great words? Applicable part of what we do in Science of Mind. And that is to monitor our word and how we co-create our world. And I don't think I could ever talk about it too much. And why is that? Because I listen to the people around me. I listen to the people that are in our circle, and I listen to people outside our circle. And I'm going to talk to you before the close of today. And you know how for years and years and years, we all talked about, we are not a teaching that proselytizes. Oh, to hell with that. I'm going to say, take off all restraints, because I'm listening to people that talk themselves into pain, that talk themselves into suffering, that have no clue that they are creating a world of limitation. They are creating a world where relationships don't work because they simply do not have a relationship with this power that moves through them, whether you are in a spiritual teaching or a religion or anything else, because it is pouring itself in through and as us. We are the lucky ones. We're the lucky ones. And yet I still ask you, are you using a butter knife or are you using a finely sharpened blade? Because there's a difference. There's a difference. Because sometimes we take for granted some of the things that we know and we've learned, and we're on automatic. We must sharpen the tools, folks. We must consistently sharpen the tools, every single one of us, including this one. Because when I speak and I speak to others, I'm creating. So we create as we speak from our spoken and unspoken words. Yes? Do you know that now? And it's the unspoken ones that are the difficult to monitor, but it's the critical one to monitor. We must monitor the pondering, the thinking, the contemplation. And I got news for you. You got to monitor the complaining, because the complaining is creating. And if you're having, and I was going to do this a little later on, but if you're struggling in a relationship with somebody, pay attention. Are you complaining about them what you think is behind their back? Because there's no behind their back. What is felt here is felt everywhere. When we speak our word of power, it is spoken everywhere, right? Do you get that? So the complaint behind someone's back, or the finding fault and the fussiness, unless you create a sacred chamber. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And it's something that I'm seeking to create. And the sacred chamber will be a safe place. But let me not get too off track. So sometimes our spoken word moves slow as molasses. And then because it's slow, we think it's not working. Sometimes it's just the nature of it. And then sometimes there's immediate. Some of you have spoken your word and you've had absolute immediate results. Yes? Yeah. Right? It's gone both ways. What's the difference? Your difference is your level of belief and commitment in what you've spoken. The difference is your fear. Fear will delay the ultimate result. Doubt delays the ultimate result. Feeling worthy delays the ultimate result. How can we make it more immediate? Take inventory. Start paying more attention. Being more not critical of yourself, but critical of your thinking. Not to find fault. I don't mean that kind of critical. I mean the kind of critical to have critical thinking. When you think to yourself, do I want to promote that thought? Do I want to promote that feeling? And then choose accordingly. Choose accordingly. Remember that passion and enthusiasm, excuse me, it's really dark in here. Can somebody put lights on somewhere? Can someone find the light switches and put them on? I know they're around the room. Thank you. With the weather outside, it's just getting kind of darker and darker. Take inventory, listen, feel into what it is that you know is in the way, and then pay attention to that. It is your passion and enthusiasm that makes a difference in creating your world. It's the passion and enthusiasm behind your spoken word that will activate it. Yes? Yes? Hell yes.
Hell yeah.
Yes, it's the enthusiasm, the power. Let there be light. Thank you, God. Thank you. So your desire is already ordained. Your desires are ordained. There's no real reason why you can't have that dream. There's no real reason why you can't get the things that you think you want, that some of it already exists, right? But it might not exist sometimes in form. You are ordained. God ordained you upon birth. And you, and you, and you, and you. It's like Oprah. You can have your dream, and you can have your dream, and you can have your dream. Wait, you can have your dream. We each can have our dream, but it's there are steps. There are some big steps and some baby steps. But your passion and your feelings must generate, and you have to find that resonance. You know, sometimes, and we've said this not jokingly, but sometimes, and I believe I could come here on a Sunday and have nothing but Ty and the band sing music, and I could go home feeling But then what happens when the music ends? So you have to have something in place for when the music's not playing. It's not enough. Community is fantastic. Community is healthy and it promotes healing. But what happens when you're alone? So you have to have systems in place so that you can be alone in the glory of your being. And trust that your spoken word is acted upon just as much as when you're in a Sunday celebration. There are, and I want to, before I go there, your imagination must be activated with all of this. Imagine your way into your dreams. And I don't mean dreams that are ethereal and you can't reach. I'm talking about the way the shamans speak about dreaming is that we dream ourselves into our reality. And then we speak our word in that order. There are some words that have been spoken in history, few little statements of words that changed the trajectory of culture in our world. And you know some of these. What might be, I want to see if anyone catches, I want to see what you say. What is a single statement that someone has spoken that moved our world, that shifted our world? Can someone think of an example? Yes, I have a dream. I don't think he had a clue when he said that. I'm told that wasn't even initially part of what he was going to say. Those 4 words changed the trajectory. It galvanized a movement to create something new. Right? He spoke his word. But they're not the only ones. That's not the only ones. And I can tell you absolutely, although I was young, that I was moved and it changed my life by listening to this statement. And you're going to know who spoke these words. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Our blessed John F. Kennedy. I think that changed me from the time I was young. Because I've had this feeling like I don't really think my government owes me anything. Now, I've never taken unemployment, although I wouldn't mind if I guess now when I think about it. but I never felt like my government owed me anything. And I always felt like I needed to take a role. Now, the government is important for those who don't have the means, of course. But the point is, ask what you can do for your country. And I know in the years I've changed that for us. Don't ask what the center can do for you, but what can you do for the center? Okay, let's go on though. Who said this? Be the change you want to see in the world. Gandhi, right? You all know that. Few words, passionately spoken, massive impact. Okay? I love this one. Yes, we can. Obama. But he made it. He made it what it is. I mean, that's not the first. Some of these might not be the first for any of them. Even, I'm sure Martin Luther King was not the first person to say, I have a dream. I'm sure he was not. He was just the first one to say it at a time and on a platform that was received. And because of his passion, it moved lives. Okay? Black Lives Matter. Always that pissed people off. And you know it's powerful when it pisses people off. You know that it's powerful, and you know that people feel when people feel threatened by something you say, it must be right. It must be right. How many conversations did we see? How many? Well, white lives matter and police lives matter. Yeah. But people aren't running around after you with a gun. Okay, that's a different kind of thing. Okay. Love is love. Love is love is love. For our LGBTQ movement. Thank God for that. And I got to tell you, go ahead, try to find fault with that. Try to make that wrong. I dare you. I dare you to make that political, and I dare you to find fault with that. It's not happening. But these are words that are spoken, and when repeated, it's like a tuning fork. Those words tune in with something within us. Now, in truth, you could be turned off. You could potentially be unavailable to the resonance of the wisdom of these things. You could. But I think it'd have to be near dead or fairly unconscious for that to be a truth. Me too. That one's got a sting, but valuable. Does anybody doesn't know what that is? Me too is a statement that they started using when they were bringing to light all of the sexual improprieties that were going on, that were being excused, that the media and politicians were trying to normalize. And finally, it's like, yeah, no, we're not doing this anymore. No justice, no peace. I've been at rallies to hear that cry. I have found it equally frightening and motivating, because it could feel threatening, but it's not. It's motivating. These are words that were spoken that have moved people. They've created movements. They've created shifts. They've created healing. And in truth, whether or not, when you find them and you resonate with them, they lift you up like there's a spring on your butt to get out of your seat and do something. For some of us. We cannot afford to be irresponsible with our words or unaware or unconscious and expect to get help from healthy to unhealthy. You can't be irresponsible with your language to get from unhealthy, I keep tripping over that, from unhealthy to healthy. You can't. You have to be responsible. You can't be irresponsible with your language when you're trying to come from healing your lack consciousness to abundance consciousness. We must speak according to our dreams. If you are in a relationship and you want a relationship healed and you're just having some kind of struggle with somebody in your life, you have to be responsible with what you say. We must be proactive in the way that we activate and utilize the law. So in the Nagual, the teaching, the teachers from Mexico and Don Miguel's whole, his tribe, that I'm lost for words right now. He speaks about the matote, which is the voice of 1,000 voices. And I mention this to you now because those voices of 1,000 voices are still hovering within us. It is the voice of reason, the voice of unreason. It's the voice of doubt. It's the voice of fear. It's the voice of the news. It's the next social media meme. It is from movies. It's from your upbringing. It's everywhere. And all of those voices create this chaos. And only when we finally learn how to settle our bodies and refine and discipline our listening, do we get to think through and listen through that chaos. So I want to give you an experience of this. I need my phone. Are you willing to play with me? Okay, just a few seconds. So what I'm going to actually ask you to do is I'm going to ask you, and I don't care what it is you say, but I'm going to ask you to speak out loud for 15 seconds. Everybody out loud. You don't have to speak about anything poignant. You could just talk about the rain. You're not even talking to another person. You're speaking out loud to yourself for 15 seconds. Okay? I ask you to do it because I want you to experience the chaos that you might not realize is going on in your mind all the time. And at home, I don't know how this is going to come through on Zoom, but even you could do it for yourself. So everybody ready? Go. Speak out loud. Speak out loud. Out loud. Okay. Okay. That's actually, to a degree, an example of what's going on in our minds when we haven't refined the tool of our thinking. You are inundated with influences that you might not be aware of. You are inundated with opinions. You are inundated with messages that you might not be aware of. And if we do not pay attention, if we do not learn how to pay attention, they seep in and they become part of our internal dialogue. You and I and anyone that is listening to this must learn to quiet that to the degree you can through meditation and through the discipline of listening. Because I have news for you. You're speaking like everything has an opposite. Heaven and hell, in and out, up and down, right? All of that. So listening, the other part of speaking a word is listening. Well, if you're listening through chaos, it's going to change how you speak. But if you're listening through quiet, your speaking will be different. Is that clear? We must exercise the tool of our own being. You are the tool. It's just like I said before, you're using a dull butter knife or a sharp chef's knife to cut through the meat that you're preparing. I know personally as a cook, I hate going to someone's house and they hand me a knife. I'm like, really? Really? And it could barely cut bread. So these are tools. You are the tool. You are the vessel through which Ty is I guarantee he works on his voice. I guarantee you he exercises his voice. I guarantee you, Clive exercises his fingering on the guitar. And I can promise you, as the spiritual leader of this community, I am constantly, consistently exercising my mind and my discipline through so many practices, because as I've said 1,000 times, I must earn the right to stand here. And so I'm refining the tool. I'm refining the vessel. Okay? In September, I'm really looking forward to this. We just had a lovely, 6 months of a book study. We studied Mind Over Medicine, and then we studied the myth of normal. I have been growing because of these book studies, and it's very unassuming because it's very gentle. And I'm just having conversations with people that I love, but ideas are sparked, and we share truths, our own internal truths. And it's been a beautiful, beautiful journey. And of course, Neil just completed Busting Loose the Money Game for those who are participating on that. And in September, I'm doing 2 book studies because I love it so much. One is Your Invisible Power with Ernest Holmes. Man, is that a book. Don't confuse it with Genevieve Baron's book, Ernest Holmes, You Are the Power. And then we're also going to do Emma Fox's Sermon on the Mount. A totally different something for us. It's a powerful book, but we haven't done religious translation of things in a long time. So we're going to look at that book with a whole new view. This is what he says. He reminds us. As a rule, it is only when health is failed to afford relief that people seriously set about gaining that spiritual understanding of the body as the true embodiment of the divine life. That is our guarantee of overcoming sickness and ultimately death. And I don't have a quite handle on what he means totally by that, but that's for another conversation. Yet if people would turn to God and acquire something of this understanding while their health is still good, they would never need to be sick at all. Again, it is usually only when people are feeling the pinch of poverty very acutely that it is when ordinary material sources of supply have dried up that they turn to God as a last resort and learn the lesson that divine power really is the source of man's human supply and all the material agents, but the channels. Now, this lesson has to be learned and thoroughly realized before humans can pass on to any experience higher or wider than the one present. And now our mother father's house has many mansions. But the key to higher mansions is always the acquiring of complete dominion. It is just as important to speak our word responsibly, powerfully, committedly, oh, that's mine, and passionately when well. So the message I'm trying to convey is, don't wait till you need it. Don't wait till you're sick. Don't wait till you're poor. Don't wait till you're unhappy or alone. Speak the word daily, moment to moment. Monitor this act. You've been given. We've all been given this precious thinking machine. And as I say always in a little bit of a disclaimer, I don't care what you call it. Use it. It wants to be used. It wants to be used. That's a fact, because the whole purpose of it being is to create and then recreate. Am I being heard? You're catching this? You and I cannot afford to have lazy language and lazy thinking. We must refine the tool. Just like it is critically important that we pray, treat not only as a response, but proactive. Proactive. This trained and disciplined new habit of yours will empower you to create through your words like never before. I speak to many people. I speak to people within our teaching, And that always feels kind of normal and easy. But I have an opportunity, and recently quite an opportunity, to speak to people who don't have the luxury or haven't taken the luxury of sitting in the seats that you're sitting in, whether that's at home or here. Yeah. Oh, it breaks my heart. As soon as I turn to it, people are talking themselves into such pain and misery. People haven't learned, as we have learned, that we don't have to suffer. People haven't learned, as we have learned, that we don't have to feel like a victim all the time. Folks, I need you to hear me. I need everybody who can hear, with ears to hear that suffering is not ordained. And we must get a handle. I'm sorry, people have told me things recently that would curl your hair. Things that would curl your hair. And it makes me want to shout from the mountaintop that we don't have to be that we have to be the whole being that we could possibly be, and then infect our children and infect our grandchildren or our nieces and our nephews and our neighbors and our co-workers by being so bold and so brilliant that they catch fire, that you catch fire. So I'm going to go back to where I said before that, we've always for years said, oh, we don't proselytize. We attract by right of consciousness. I am so done with that, because the world has a lot of messages going on. And often there are whole loads of people who think if they watch Oprah, if they read her magazine and do some yoga, that's all that they need. But they're not refining the muscle. We here refine that muscle. We here in this community are constantly working to be like a fine craftsman of consciousness. We must invite people into the room. And I am imploring you to grab people and drag them into the room. You might think I'm joking, but I'm not. There should not be an empty seat, because oh, yes, Facebook is filled with powerful messages, but take those powerful messages, combine it with community, sandwich it with music like we have, and we have a recipe for transformation that is amazing. But we have to get more people in the room, and not for us. I'm not here for me. I'm here for the empty seats. You already got this. I'm here for the empty seats. There shouldn't be an empty seat, because this is still good news. It's still good news. Yes, and we are a form of Christianity. We are. But we are healthy. We are mindfully healthy. So let us speak this word, and let us speak it in a way that people will crawl over each other to get in the room. Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Let us take this into consciousness right now. Oh, so boldly I speak this word this morning. I declare that the power that is avails itself to, through, in, and as each of us listening now or whenever. This spoken word moves that which is in the way out of the way. This spoken word pulls us up from our bootstraps, reminding us to reach out and accept our divine birthright boldly. To no longer be at the mercy of any of the limited thinking or the metote, the chaotic thinking. We are more than that. We are more than that. We are the place where love resides. We are the place where love resides. We are the place where truth is spoken. We are the place where compassion and acceptance and love is the normal conversation. Let this be our reality. Let this be our reality. Oh, I'm so grateful. I am so grateful. I'm grateful for this community. I'm grateful, to our members. I'm grateful for the music. I'm grateful for this temple that houses us. I am grateful for Ernest Holmes. I'm grateful for Emmett Fox. I'm grateful for all the teachers whose shoulders I stand upon to deliver this message. I'm grateful for the very breath in my body temple. I'm grateful for my family and my husband. I'm grateful for gratitude itself. Let us lean into this. Let us be our word. Let us do it passionately. And dear God, please, dear God, do not be distracted by anything. You are beautiful, bold, brilliant, and deserving of so much more. I surrender this word to love, to law, and to the awe of life itself. And so it is.
So it is.